Today I have a special guest. I have Deb DelMar, and she is the corporate vice president of the Washington chapter, the chair for the 75th Jubilee Commission, as well as the chair for the NCRPDI. Deb, welcome to this next episode. And let's start out with, let's tell us a little bit about yourself.
Great. And thank you for this opportunity, Jamie. I really appreciate the chance always to talk about ASMC and what an important component of my professional life that organization is. So again, thank you for including me in these videos that you're doing. Very, very important. So I am I started out my career in the corporate sector. I was a military brat, and my dad always wanted me to go in the military. But I was tired of moving around, quite frankly. And so I made a promise to him that I said, look, I will serve the military and the Department of Defense, but I'll do it from the corporate side. And so I was true to that promise. I spent 20 years at a software and management consulting company called American Management Systems. Was a vice president there for their defense division. In fact, the first female vice president there. I was proud about that, and that did a lot regarding both financial, logistics, HR and acquisition, both systems, consulting, and transformation. I ended up leaving that company after 20 years and actually started my own business with a colleague. And so I was a small women-owned business. And that was also just a tremendously rewarding opportunity there to not necessarily have a lot of employees or things like that, but to really be able to focus with a whole number of clients that serve the federal government, help them either get into the federal market or expand their footprint to, position for big captures, to really understand the needs of the federal customer and how to meet those needs in an efficient and effective way. So over that period of time, I was, we probably had, I don't know, 80 customers, mostly industry leaders, one ERP vendor, one big IPA. We tried to make sure that we did not have any conflicts across our client base, but a number of small niche companies. And that diversity was just really exciting because you were dealing with so many, not only different people and different cultures and corporate models, but you were really covering down on a whole range of both solutions and capabilities and programs that were really important to the DoD space. So I've enjoyed that tremendously. I went on an extended leave from that company back in 2020 when I got an opportunity, an appointment to go into the Department of Veterans Affairs, and I was there for a year helping to do business transformation around some of their very big critical programs, such as their electronic health record, their financial and acquisition modernization program, and their enterprise requirements management program. And met all new people, and it was just really a great experience. And then in 21, I ended up moving over into the Department of Defense, where I am currently serving, helping with comptrollers. So just feel very, very fortunate to be where I am. I've always wanted to be able to become a public servant and to give back. I always tell everybody I'm the product of, DoD schools and DoD hospitals and commissaries and living on bases. And it was a wonderful, wonderful life. And, a very, the community was tremendous to belong to. And so I'm happy to try and help in terms of giving back and improving right now in the areas that they need that, mostly in systems and processes and so forth.
Well, it sounds like you have a wonderful and extensive career, and I really appreciate and thank you for everything that you do for our community. I know that it takes individuals like yourself as well as relationships with organizations and individuals outside of our own small niche community sometimes to be able to drive innovation and change and all the different efforts that the government wants to become as they become more agile, right, and more responsive to the current environment, which is ever changing. With that said, again, a lot of people serve in multiple different capacities. We have contractors, reservists, civilians, volunteers that serve throughout multiple different facets of all these different organizations that fall into the federal government. And part of something that you've been driving is ASMC. And can you talk a little bit about the volunteering that's available for individuals that would like to maybe, again, add to their resume to get some experience? And look, if we can talk about that a little bit.
Sure. Yes. And as I said, I am a life member of ASMC. It's hard to imagine, but I feel very fortunate on that. And, when I look back, in my first job, I was brought in to do logistics support analyses because I had a technical background. I was a chemistry major, and I did it, but it was a little bit dry, and I was trying to volunteer there in the company to learn and see what other paths there may be. And I ended up getting very involved in proposals, and I really liked the proposal work. I liked being able to, figure out what the government really needed, how to portray that. And so I ended up getting into that area of business development and marketing and proposals. And in the process of doing that, the company had a real strong footprint in financial management, more so on the federal side, but also on the DoD side. And so I ended up getting brought to ASMC by, at the time, my mentor, who said, "Hey, this is a really important, vibrant community. It allows you to learn and to network, get to know people, contribute and give back, and it's just fun. It's a great sense of belonging there in that community." And so I ended up doing that, going to my first PDI, and as they say, the rest is sort of history in terms of just you know, participating for a number of years, but then had the opportunity I was asked to step up and to chair the National Capital Region PDI. And I remember at the time I was like, can I do this? Wow, because work and I had family and all of this, and I thought, well, let me give it a shot. I'll give it my best effort, and it was just a great experience, again, to get a group of volunteers that everybody was so committed to making this a high value training event for the members. And then I ended up getting, running and getting onto the board because I thought, well, let me try my hand there and see how I can help in terms of some broader things aside from just this training event. And then it cascaded into where I ended up getting very involved at the national level. I proposed a number of changes at that time to the executive director, and we established what was called the corporate advisory group of sort of the larger corporate members that wanted to participate more actively and be able to provide thought leadership. And so I was the chair of that for, from when we, initiated it to the time that I left industry and then had to step out of that role, but I'm still very involved. And then most recently, I got asked to chair the 75th Jubilee Commission. And again, didn't really hesitate because I hadn't realized that we were at such a milestone as a professional organization, and thought what a great opportunity to highlight what ASMC is all about, in terms of the sharing and the engaging and the networking and the value that it offers, in particular our early careerists, as a as a platform for their professional growth that is complementary but outside of their organizational structure that they're in with their colleagues and their bosses. It provides that that cross organization, cross function set of experience that's very valuable. So I am a strong proponent of everyone participating in ASMC, because of you get so much more out of it than you give, in terms of, again, the learning and the experiences. I believe strongly that the reason that I'm able to do what I do right now as a public servant to a great extent is because I worked so closely with many government officials while I was, throughout my ASMC career. And we were established trusting relationships. I helped to deliver results for them and their organizations through ASMC. And you're ending up in a point where you have those trusted relationships and the credibility and the competence that then allows you to help in an even more significant way. So it's a great organization, I think, for our early careerists, in particular, the ones that have joined either the corporate world or the government during COVID. This is an area that we have to, in particular, focus on these individuals, not just because they're the future, but they haven't had the experiences that we have had, where you show up for work and you interact with people and you're in team meetings, and you get the benefit, a lot of that informal exchange that is such an important part of growing as a professional. And you can't get that when you're teleworking. I mean, you need to have that in-person element to some extent, to balance you off and give you that perspective. So I think that's a particular passion of mine, is to work with the early careerists to help them to really understand the value of ASMC, and in fact to increase the value of the membership to all of our members, to include the retirees and the more senior members, because at any point in people's professional lifespan, there is great value for them, and there's great value for us in keeping them active in the association.
Well, thank you, Deb. Having been part of the Jubilee Commission here, I appreciate your leadership and putting the team together, providing that structure, which has been amazing, because people know what to do, they know what to accomplish. And also, lastly, just be able to find that, again, opening ourselves up to be able to provide a service and to listen to everybody out there that's part of that ASMC community. So thank you for that. I know as the chair for the NCR PDI, I believe you have our next subject is talking about the NCR PDI results. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, yes. And again, that is the annual training event that the Washington chapter puts on. Um, I've been very fortunate to have chair that event for, wow, 18 years now. It's hard to imagine, but and we've grown pretty significantly. Feel very good about the fact that that is is viewed as, you know, really a first-rate event for learning and for dialogue and exchange, and a real opportunity for the you know, what I talk about is the three legs of the stool that are so important. It's the uniform member, it's the civilian member, and it's the contractor. I mean, we're all critical in the mix to get the mission done. We can't work in isolation. And so that's one of the things about ASMC, and in particular our event, where we really focus on making sure that there is that good blend and that mix, and people, you know, our sessions have a real dimension of what corporate is doing, because I think that everyone is so busy in their day jobs that at times they really don't get the opportunity to understand the incredibly innovative work that is going on the corporate side, that is important, because that needs to keep getting infused so that government can be more efficient and effective and accelerate our outcomes. A perfect example of that is in the audit, right? We've been trying to get auditable for 20 years now or something, and there are always sort of new thoughts there, new approaches, things that we could be doing or considering that corporate really brings to the table, and this is a an area and a platform that we can really ensure that that happens. So we did have to, in 2000, I guess 20, we were 3 days away from our event and we had to cancel it for COVID. So that was a real bummer. But in 21 and 22, we did hold a virtual event, and was, you know, pleased that we were able to do that. And then back on March 9th of, you know, just last month, we held our first in person in 4 years, and we had an excellent turnout. We were hoping to do a hybrid event, but it was just cost prohibitive. We could not really do both. And we wanted to bring everybody back together, and we had a new venue. We did it in the Washington Convention Center, which is a beautiful facility and allowed us to do a lot of different things that we hadn't done in the past. So I have to do a big shout out to my NCR PDI committee. I've been very blessed that the majority of those folks have really been with me in this for many, many years, and that continuity and that trust and everything is so important. But those folks had to work a lot harder this year because of the new venue and just making sure that everything had to be done well, and all the details were in place. But we ended up having about, I think, 1,350 attendees. We had 38 corporate sponsors, and we had 37 exhibitors. And so those numbers reflect to some extent the strong support that the event has, and the high regard that the Washington chapter holds in the community. We are the largest chapter. We have over 3,500 members, and obviously we're a 5-star chapter. And the old saying is, as the Washington chapter goes, sort of the rest of ASMC goes. We have tended to lead in certain areas, not certainly all, but like, for example, our early careerist initiatives, what we have done to establish the regional PDIs and so forth. And so we try and mentor and do things as much as we can with the smaller chapters to ensure that they're getting the benefit of our knowledge and our experience and our templates and anything that we can do to help the smaller chapters to make progress in that. But so I was very, very pleased that we held the event. The theme was We the People, Power for Real Change, which I loved because it really, I think, captures the essence of, we as a community can really do tremendous things. Each one of us, every day, we can make a difference. And we just have to believe that and sort of move out on it. And we had the Deputy Secretary of Defense, the Honorable Hicks, who gave us a special virtual greeting. And that was just tremendous and really talked about how important the financial community is as a force multiplier for operations. Everything sort of starts and stops, obviously, with funding and being accountable for that. And so that was tremendous. Our opening keynote was the Honorable Mike McCord, who's the Undersecretary of Defense for Financial Management Comptroller. We had just some great breakout sessions. All the services had service updates with their honorables. So the Army was there with Honorable Spangler, defense-wide with Honorable Miller, Navy with, I guess it was Alali Jenkins, who's the Pedassin, and then the Coast Guard. So those are always high points. And then we always have a uniform leader who is our luncheon speaker, who brings everything back in terms of what we're doing to the mission. And we had Lieutenant General Christopher Mahoney, who is the deputy commandant or commander for PNR, and he just gave a wonderful talk. It was really, really tremendously uplifting. So I think it was a great day. Everyone seemed to like the new venue and to enjoy it, and got strong feedback that we had sort of a 2 thumbs up. So felt very good about that.
No, I appreciate your insight on this. I know there's some pushback sometimes with the federal government. A lot of individuals don't see the three stools that you talk about, and that it's very important to have those contractors because, like you said, they bring innovation, they bring the newest, latest, and greatest. Right now we're going into data visualization, Tableau, Power BI, and a lot of the government employees do not have that training or that capability. Also dashboarding, apps development that, we have to go and follow some of the industry leads to go out there and make things automated, putting in SQL and bots and things like that to be able to get us better access to that data and to understand what that data means. So I wholeheartedly agree with you and continue to encourage leadership to go ahead and understand those three tools. So that's great. Last question. Where do you see ASMC going in the future and provide value and are they providing values to members to their community?
Thank you. That is a great question, and I think that ASMC is really at a very important inflection point. I'll use that term, where given all the changes in our society and in our government, as you mentioned, with technology, and the need to really leapfrog forward. I use that term because right now I would say that our financial management environment is still not where it needs to be in terms of modernization and transformation. Starting to make some tremendous progress on the data and the decision analytics side through the Advana platform, which I'm sure you've heard of, but now
Yeah.
is, it started as a as a means to audit and is now the authoritative um, analytic platform across the board for all business and missions. So it really is leading the way in terms of that advantage for our country. But there's other areas that we can also be looking to now take that data, that evidence, and more quickly modernize and consolidate and so forth. And so, um, we I think now is the time to sort of get on with that. And I think ASMC has a very critical role in that because they are not government, and so they bring a neutral platform, if I can use that term, an important neutral platform for discussion, for dialogue, for thought leadership, to try and help to inform government and to forge a path forward that is more simplified, standardized, and ultimately auditable, but also affordable. I mean, one that will allow repurposing to the mission because of those efficiencies. So I think that we have to, as an organization, um, seek that dialogue, be open to this kind of discourse, and work so that you know, collectively the three groups there really do partner and collaborate in the best extent possible to forge a path forward that can allow us to get to that next level of what I would call breakthrough performance, right? We just have to be able to do things better, faster, cheaper. And to some extent, it's not all technology driven. It is the ability for teams to work better together, to not feel constrained in certain senses by but allowed to really collaborate. And I think that's what ASMC provides. So and then of course embracing the early careerist, which is really, really important. ASMC has, I think, right now 108 chapters across the world. Um, and that's really the lifeblood of the association. And we need to, one of the things I'm proud of with the 75th is that we are focused on it being, you know, chapter centric and member driven. And those aren't just little nice phrases, but we are really understanding and focused on trying to make things happen at the chapter level and helping the individual member to feel not just valued, but to really get the value from the organization. And then hopefully from that, be willing to volunteer and give back in whatever capacity they can. So that's I think that National is thinking through some of these means to have a more tiered process and be able to really get this benefit trickle down to the smaller organizations. And that's going to be the focus for the next, I think, couple of years to enable us to be less national focused, less PDI centric, but really embracing the whole community and providing that value throughout.
Deb, I really appreciate you highlighting and focusing, especially on these early careerists. I think you're making a difference and ensuring that they get value, not just from testing on the CDFM and showing their competency, but also gaining some leadership positions so that they can go out there and, like I said, add to their resume, to go out there, win those awards, and do all these other things that you've initiated in the past couple of years. So thank you for that. With that
And
said,
by the way, Jamie, just to jump on that, thank you for bringing that up because I neglected to mention the value and the importance of the CDF FM. That really is the gold standard in my mind. There are certainly other means for education. For the DoD FM employees, there's the DoD FM certification, but that is not a test base. So the CDFM complements that very, very nicely
Mhm.
in terms of a real ability to show your competency, and I would encourage everyone to take that on. It is tremendously valuable for your professional advancement, and it also is another way to show your sort of commitment to the community and to the things that we have to do right, of which there are many. So thank you for mentioning that. And the awards are again another wonderful way to highlight all the great work that is going on. One of the things about the 75th is that we're doing an everyday coming out with some small posting or notice or something of the great work that is going on across the community at the chapter level, within the services, within our corporations, across the board. And it highlights individuals that are every day making a difference, which I think is tremendous. We have awards. We'll be having 75th Jubilee Awards that will be um, um, presented at both at the PDI and then at an event at the year's end. And our focus there is really at the working level. So there are plenty of awards that the top officials are fortunate enough to get, but we're trying to make this really the people's awards, if I can put it that way, the members awards. And so for anyone that knows of people that are out there doing great things, please look out and nominate those folks, because they help us all as role models in terms of how we can strive to do better each and every day.
Well, thank you, Deb, for taking time out of your busy schedule to share some of your thoughts. And again, if there's any individuals out there that would be part of this podcast series, please reach out to me at hansonarmy@yahoo.com. And again, this is Jamie Hanson with Bourbon and Biz. Thank you.
Jamie, thank you for all that you are doing each and every day, not just for the Army and the mission, but for ASMC. We're very, very grateful. So thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Deb.
the opportunity. Take care. Bye-bye.